Now that we move past that, still talking about the Nets. They haven't beat the Sixers in the last game and the Lakers. They lost to the Lakers, beat the Wolves, then lost to the Sixers. So we're here to kind of just, how do we read and react based off of those two losses? The Lakers loss was obviously not a great loss. It was a bad loss because they're facing the Lakers, who had no LeBron, no AD, right? So obviously, media and, the fans are, oh my God, you can't beat the Lakers without this and that and that and that. They don't remember that with LeBron, they slapped them as well too, right? They slapped them that the bench had to play the rest of the game. They slapped them without KD, and it was just Kyrie and Harden versus LeBron, right? So you can't just only look at one side of the spectrum and forget that the other side of the spectrum still exists, even though it didn't happen as recent as you think, right? But again, I guess they have every right to, think what they want to think and whatever. But for me, I didn't really look too much into, the Lakers beating the Nets. The reason why, even if the Nets beat the Lakers, I didn't look too much into it. That game to me just didn't really matter because, again, KD's second game back to back, and then Kyrie gets ejected, whatever. They should still win and whatever. But the thing is, this is what happens with the Lakers. If you notice, if you really watch, the Lakers will blow teams out and they randomly are hitting shots. So because they slapped the Nets off of an anomaly, off them splashing and hitting shots the same way they slapped the Raptors, whenever they hit shots, 8 times, 7 times out of 10, they're going to win. Why? Because that's an anomaly. That's not what they do. So people come into the game helping off the weak side. You force them to shoot because they aren't a great shooting team. But when they now all of a sudden aren't hitting, that's an anomaly. Like, you take the L. But people act like that's normal. Oh, my God, and that's without LeBron, the shooting and the way the team moves is different when LeBron and when AD comes back. They're a slower tempo type of team. Remember, without LeBron pushing the ball, you have these role players that now go back into their normal bags. They go back into what they do more. Schroeder goes back into what he does now, right? This is why you've seen him start eating. That same shooter you saw is not the shooter you're going to see with LeBron. It's not the same shooter. He doesn't have the ball in his hand like that. You know what I'm saying? Mans are going to only be getting in the spot-up situations. KCP's not trying to kill off the dribble. Markieff Morris is not getting mid-post and just posting up and getting those opportunities. That's all happening because LeBron and AD aren't there. When LeBron and AD are there, they're to get the slow tempo. Okay, LeBron get it on the mid-post. LeBron get it at the high post. LeBron get it at the top. Run his pick and roll. Slow dribble up the ball. Try and go to work and try and hezzy blow by. If not, kick it to the corner. Okay, AD, here's your post-up touch now. Everything's slow tempo, and the role players only get it off of the situations, which is why you see they struggle because there's something to do with rhythm. When you're not a great shooter, rhythm means everything. When you have the ball more in your hand, you feel it more. Even if you don't shoot, you get it. Not there. You make the rotation pass. You're getting the ball more. You're swinging the ball more. You get more confidence. You get more pep in your step. You're going to hit more shots because you have more rhythm. You're touching the ball. You're involved more. That worry of, is this my only shot? If I don't hit this shot, he might not pass back to me. Like that fear, that kind of mentality removes out of your head as a role player. So this is why you see the Lakers have been shooting way better than they've been shooting with LeBron. If you actually go look at the numbers and you go look at the eye test, what they've been doing, right? So that kind of context removes once LeBron and AD comes back, especially LeBron because he's the usage carrier on that team, right? So that's why I don't really like this team. You see these role players act, oh my God, if they're hitting shots now and watch when LeBron comes back. Like, mans don't really think the game properly. Like, this is not even a knock to like the Lakers themselves. It's just, you have to just know the game. Like, role players don't, it's the same thing. If you see, and on any team, if you see role players now doing step backs and all of a sudden killing when like they're not, the stars aren't in, that's not that role player is not getting that situation. Like, that's not the same thing. Now, teams that already shoot well, if you see them now snapping, like that's why the Nets is different. If the role players are snapping when they're not there, it's not going to change because they're shooters. They're actually shooters who score off screens, who can score spot up. Don't matter if they get only one shot. That's why they're being efficient the whole year. Because even with low amount of shots, if they get it, they're shooters. They're going to be open because those guys draw attention, etc., etc. But like the Lakers aren't shooters like that. So that's why I didn't really worry. I didn't really, because I know they're not going to move like that. They're going to have to hit those same shots. Non-shooters, when you give them less shots, it's going to be harder to make shots. When you give non-shooters more shots and more rhythm, they're going to be more efficient, more pep in their step, exactly what I was saying. So I didn't really, put too much stock into that as make a video. And also, too, that game was Saturday. Games happen Sunday. So on Monday, I talked about the games on Sunday. But even then, people thought I was, he's scary. He's not talking now. That's cap. I actually was laughing. I didn't even, especially the Nets. The Nets, if you lose to a team when you're banged up and you lose to weaker teams, that to me never worries me. If you're losing to main teams when it's time to, the lights is on, everyone knows it's a big game, and you're here fully healthy and you're losing to actual teams that you might see in the finals, you might see in playoffs, actually great teams, if you're losing to them, that's where I'm like, okay, I might worry. The Nets beat all of them, multiple times. So I'm not worried about, a 1-2 loss versus bum teams or teams without their main guys. If anything, that shows me that, okay, you didn't come to play versus them. You're supposed to, if anything, you're going to lose to the lesser team. It's like the Golden State Warriors with their 73-9. Look at their 9 losses, not to the greatest teams. It's always to these random teams that you're like, you shouldn't lose because now your guard goes down. Okay, we could just easily beat these guys. And then you get beat. That more so happens to most championship teams lose like that. But when they turn it on and it's time to, it's here, we know what it is, they don't lose to those teams. That's the makings of a great team, if you actually look at it. So that's what the Nets been doing. So I don't even, because playoffs, you're always every game is, we here though, so you're not going to lose. You know what I'm saying? So that's more so my takeaway from that Lakers game. Now, the Sixers game was a complete different story. Obviously, there's no KD. KD played the game before that versus the Wolves. You've seen the efficiency, 31, 11 for 15. 31 points on 11 for 15? Come on now. That boy different. Couple hours from that, the man's talking with Shannon Sharp, you know what I'm saying? Letting him know that, you capping, fam. You capping. What are you doing? Why are you spreading narratives, wrong narratives? Let a man do that. Then just 2 hours, because the game was at 4 p.m., coming out, buckets. KD's a different, come on now. That's why I'm like, how do men just hate him? Mans are so fearful of him that they just hate him just because the Golden State move. If you want to hate him just because the Golden State move, that's to you. That's all to you. You know what I'm saying? You don't update your information. You're salty because of something happened to you in the past. That's okay. Update your information. He didn't just go there and just ride coattails to a championship. He carried. He was the main reason. In fact, they don't win without him. So he went to a 3. That removes. You have to update your information. What's priority? Did he just go there and just have a palm sweaty moment? 0-3 straight fourth quarters, averaged the third points, didn't do nothing, was just there. Then you could say something. He carried. He was the main reason. Every bucket moment, that was KD. It was KD. So update your information. All that old stuff you harboring on, that's just you being emotional. That's all that comes down to. If you really update your information, he told you that there's a reason why I came here. They needed me. And then he don't play. What happens in the finals? They lose to the Raptors. Come on now. He plays for the one game, just 11 points straight. You could see he was needed for the finals. Clearly. So when you look at that, you update your information. Come on now. You harboring on old stuff. That's just being emotional. So anyways, it is what it is. But you look at efficiency. This is why you can never hate on this guy. Most scorers, at some point you can say, oh my God, look, they're inefficient. They did this. Because again, the eye test and the efficiency are two different things. But now when the eye test and the efficiency and the analytics match and you can't say nothing, there's literally no reason to actually say this man is not the best player. There's no reason. The stats prove it. The eye test prove it. Everything proves it. You just harboring on one thing. That's it. And then anyways, we passed that. So, they messed up the times with that game. And then now that's why you've seen he didn't play versus the Philly, because obviously the game versus the Wolves was supposed to be a Tuesday game, but it was postponed, right? Sorry, it was supposed to be a Monday game, but it was postponed due to the shootings, within Minnesota and all that type of stuff, and obviously they postponed all Minnesota games, right? Then now it got pushed back, so now it became a back-to-back, and I guess they're supposed to maybe play 12 or something like that, so 12 or 1 was supposed to be the game. That's what KD was saying. So if he played at that time, now we could probably play a night game on Wednesday, because it's kind of it's not really a back-to-back, even though it's a back-to-back. But then they played late at 4. So now it's they switched the time. So, they still wanted to play him. And I guess, because if it was a back-to-back from time, he wouldn't have played versus the Wolves. He would have played versus the Sixers, right? But he's integrating. It is what it is. It's all good. But you can see that Philly, even though, they came back, the fact that, this is why I don't trust Philly. This is why Philly, to me, has always been capped when it comes to playoff time. Their regular season team has always been great. But when it comes to playoff time, this is why I don't trust in them. The fact that you have Brooklyn's bench. Brooklyn's bench. Because Kyrie was still frying. Kyrie a different... That boy disgusting. You better trust him, man. I don't even... he's so elite that, is obvious... It's like beating the dead horse. But the reason why I always have to talk about him is because every game, he's doing something spectacular that you've never seen before. Multiple times. This man will kill you without doing the same move twice in a whole game. New highlights. Other people, they need a plethora of games to get a compilation of highlights. This man, every game is you could get after every game or every 2 games, you can get a whole top 10 season highlights for the year out of every game. It's crazy, man. The ability this man displays, the creativity, the arsenal. My goodness, is remarkable. It's actually his instincts read and react. Dog, that boy is different, man. But anyways, Kyrie been frying. They take him out, pack it in. It all good. The fact that the Brooklyn Nets bench can come back and then you bring in your starters and they still come back and y'all struggling. The Sixers still struggling. The Sixers felt so embarrassed that they had to change everything to now KD sucks and all that type of stuff. And KD, y'all chanting at me, I'm not even playing. That's when you're so fearful. That's actually a disservice to the fans. The fans are thinking we're going to clown KD because we winning, but you're only doing it because you're embarrassed because, you're struggling. You're struggling to the bench that's not even playing. There's no KD. There's no Kyrie. There's no Harden on the floor. And y'all are struggling. Barely is coming to a free throw game. And now you have to chant KD sucks because your palms is sweaty that the man is not even on the court. But if he was on the court, it would have been game. So that's how fearful you guys are as 76ers fans. You're chanting for a guy that's not playing because your palms are sweaty. You're basically letting Brooklyn know that we in your heads without even playing. That's what you're doing. They live in rent-free, like they say. He's rent-free in your head. Really? You have to chant against him and he's not even playing? That, to me, really, that y'all don't even believe in your own team. Y'all are that embarrassed. You know what time it was. Y'all knew. So now Brooklyn, if I'm a Brooklyn or if I'm a 76er teammate, right? If I'm on that team and I see the fans do that, I'm cheesed. Because I know that, we not ready to face this team. The fact that this happened, we actually not ready. And you heard Embiid knew that. Terrible, they had to bring me back and I was just supposed to come back and play. That's what he said. I was supposed to come back and play. But I had to brought back because it was getting out of hand. You heard him say that because he knows. He knows. He also knew he was struggling. And that's why also too I don't trust when it comes to the Sixers, I don't trust. This is why I don't trust them. In the clutch time, I don't trust mine. Always bad decisions, always turnover. This is not the first time that this happens. Not just because of this game. It happens all the time. If you look at it, obviously, yes, it's the first year with Ben Simmons and Embiid in the playoffs versus the Celtics. Look at all those games. There was a 4-1 lead that they lost. Or it was not in the lead that they lost. 4-1 series that they lost. And bare times in the clutch, they had leads. They're supposed to close out the game. Turnover. Misses. You just seen it this year versus the Lakers. If it wasn't for Tobias' game winner versus the Lakers were about to win that game. You know what I'm saying? 12, whatever run in the end of the game. It always happens constantly. I don't trust them. Their poise is atrocious. Then you still have the Ben Simmons factor that can't shoot. You have all those factors. It comes down to Embiid and Tobias, which Tobias, again, is looking like Clippers Tobias. And there's a reason for that. But the Sixers, I don't trust in the clutch time. I don't. And Embiid has never, only last year's where he averaged 30 points and actually played pretty good in the playoffs when he got swept versus the Celtics. But other than that, every year it's been underperforming, struggling from the field. And then now you look at the actual clutch, palms are sweaty, brick, or looking like he's not even part of the game. You see that versus the Raptors with Gasol on him. You seen that versus the Sixers with Al Horford on him. You've seen that a lot of the times in series where he just goes MIA, palms are sweaty, don't look the same, always trying to draw a foul, all that type of stuff. So Do I really trust Embiid to just carry, take over? Even in the clutch, even in regular season, he don't be doing that. He be struggling. So, and you seen him this game, big game, he be struggling. So I don't really, until he has to show me. So that's the way I go. I update my information as it goes at hand. I don't assume you're all of a sudden gonna do it. I go off history and I go off just what you've been doing. Now you could break it, obviously, but for me to now go into, oh my God, they're gonna make the finals. They're gonna make every year they're gonna make the finals. They're gonna make conference finals, and look what we see. Same thing with the Bucks. Then you have that weakness at play at all hand where Ben Simmons can't shoot. It changes how defensives can guard you. We could change schemes. You don't even shoot. You know what I'm saying? So like when you look at it from that perspective, like again, and with Ben Simmons talking smack and talking the way he was talking, like I'm not mad at it, obviously. I'm not mad at it, but you gotta back it up at some point. You're saying the Nets don't move the ball, they gotta play defense as if, they're like low tier in assists when y'all don't even average. Y'all post up bare and get way less assists than the Nets. It's only one ball. Like, what are you talking about? It's cap. I know you salty that they were going to trade you for Harden, so you want to talk. And that's specific shot to Harden because, again, KD, they're talented, but they're only one ball. So I already know all that's because of that. But at the end of the day, I do rate it, but you're capping. You're capping. I do rate the energy, but you're capping. You know what I'm saying? You're capping at the end of the day. And come on now. Only one ball. That's cap. It's cap. But, like I said, I like the energy. They won the game. But you could tell that the fan base's palms is sweaty. You could tell that the Sixers know they need to improve. They need to get better. And then now you look at it again.